Okay, if your anxiety feels like a constant battle, let me tell you, you are not alone. And you might not even realize why you're feeling anxious at that time. Well, in the next few minutes, together, we are going to explore the root causes and the reasons why you might be feeling anxious. And I'm going to reveal to you once and for all what you can do about it. This video, it is my hope that it helps as many people as possible because, you know, I think we've all been there. We've all had that time where we felt anxious, and it's a horrible feeling. Sometimes it's a natural feeling. Other times it really isn't. So this video is for anyone who might be feeling anxious. I've made this for you, and I hope it helps you as much as possible. It really is my hope that it helps as many people as possible with real life advice, techniques, what has helped me, but also other people that I've talked to. And once you understand that you can do something about it right now, it changes everything, and you take back control and you stop feeling anxious all the time. But first of all, we are going to talk about, because it's really important to know what anxiety, what this feeling is, where it comes from. Because once you understand where this feeling comes from and what's going on inside you to cause you feeling like this gives you such an amazing awareness and perspective. And you'll realize that this whole thing, weirdly, is a natural thing, and your body is working perfectly well. It's not funny, because when you're going through it, it's a horrible thing, but your body is doing exactly what it's meant to be doing. It's wired that way. Anxiety isn't just a random feeling that pops out of nowhere. It's your body's natural survival instinct. Your body's nervous system is in survival mode, literally. What do I mean by that? Well, when your brain senses danger, whether through physical, so seeing it or smelling it, or your emotions, what you're thinking, your thoughts, it flips a switch. So you've got an area inside your brain called the amygdala. And when this happens, it sends out an alert. It triggers your heart rate to spike, your breath to quicken, your muscles to tighten. It gets you ready to fight or run away. So if there was a predator, you'd be ready to run, or to climb up a tree, or to fight with your spear. And here's the catch, okay, get this. Your brain reacts the same way whether it is about an email or a tiger running after you. It's mad, but it's true. It doesn't know the difference if you don't tell it, because it's just receiving signals at the end of the day. It's receiving the same signals whether a tiger is running after you or an email is stressing you out, okay? Stress, worry, anxiety, whatever it is. That sudden onset of stress and anxiety, just as it would be if you were confronted by a predator in front of you. Is this starting to make sense? Because in today's world, we're not running away from wild animals. We don't need to. But we are overwhelmed, we're overstimulated, we're stressed out, we're overworked. And a lot of us do not have our priorities in the right order. But basically, this keeps your system almost stuck in a permanent state of on edge, of stress. But anxiety is more than just the daily worries that we all go through. It's more than that. It's a persistent feeling, right? Whereas, the occasional anxiety is normal. Everyone goes through it. But, when anxiety starts to take over your life, when it starts affecting your life in a way where, you don't want to go outside, or you're too afraid to go to work, or whatever it is, that's when things need to be dealt with, need to be addressed. So let's dive in now to some of the root causes of what may be causing your anxiety. So first of all, you've got environmental factors. This is things like stressed at work. You've got deadlines, an inbox full of emails. Perhaps your relationships aren't great, whether that's with your family or your partner, whatever it is. You've got financial pressures. Just the day-to-day life of this modern world keeps a lot of us in a state of just being stressed and on edge. It's no wonder that so many people have anxiety and more have it. Feeling isolated or not having that community around you can make things worse, and that only adds to the stress. And finally, our daily habits really matter. So, for example, what is the first thing that you do when you wake up in the morning? Do you grab a drink of water, or do you look on your phone? Do you go outside and get some sunlight in your eyes, some fresh air? Do you sit on the sofa watching TV, All of these things, each one has a completely different effect on you and how you feel, and it sets you up for that day. Poor sleep, an unhealthy diet, a lack of exercise, these all have effects on your anxiety. It's common sense, really. What you eat, what you put into your body is going to affect your overall mental health. It's going to affect your body, your brain. Exercise, we all know this. Regular exercise is so good for you. Fresh air, getting out in fresh air is so good for you. It's good for your brain. It's good for your whole, how you feel in your body. Okay, so that's a few environmental factors. Now, what about psychological? So our past experiences, even from being in our mother's womb to this present day, play a crucial part in who we are, how we think, how we feel, our perceptions, our values, how we see the world. Our perspective, our values, and how we see ourselves. It plays a massive part. And trauma from your past, way ago, these negative events can leave imprints that then trigger anxiety in your present day. Certain personality traits, like being a perfectionist or highly sensitive person, these can also make us more vulnerable to feeling anxious. But you know what? Perhaps one of the biggest things there is negative thinking and negative self-talk. What you're thinking about yourself, what you're telling yourself, the words that you use when you think not just about yourself, but about your day, where you are right now, a situation. The words that you use have an immediate impact, and such a powerful impact on how you feel in that moment and going forwards. How often do you find yourself worrying day to day? How often does that happen? Perhaps you're trying to predict a worst case scenario. Our brains are constantly doing that. They are like prediction machines. That's how they're wired because of our survival mechanism thousands of years ago. That is how we are hardwired. But in this modern day and age, it doesn't need to be like that. And that's why we need to take these steps to rewire our brains almost and change our perspective, change our awareness, so we don't have to live like that anymore. And there's some benefit to that. You don't want to completely erase it, but we aren't running away from predators. We don't need to be on constant alert. Like I'm in the woods right now. I don't need to worry about a bear running up from nowhere, or a tiger or anything like that, or wolf. We used to have wolves where I live. There's none now, so I don't need to worry. You might not even realize that you are doing these things. It's in the subconscious. Our survival mechanism is in the subconscious. So you might not even realize that you are thinking negatively or using the wrong words, negative words about yourself. You might not realize it, but that's where becoming more aware of what you're doing day to day, awareness, growing the awareness is so important, because then you can start, when you're aware, you can start changing those habits. And that right there is so powerful, because these internal narratives, what you're talking and what you're telling yourself about yourself, the words that you use, they act like fuel for anxiety. The words that we think are internal dialogue. It directly affects our emotions and how we feel. And closely linked are the mental images, the images that we picture in our minds. Everyone does this sometimes, everyone does this. It's just human to have negative images in your mind. It just happens now and again. It just pops into your mind. It could be replaying embarrassing moments, imagining future failures. These can all trigger a powerful anxiety response in your body. It really is almost like as if the event is happening right now, because your brain, it often doesn't know the difference between if you're thinking something vividly, if you're picturing it, to actually that event happening. So that in itself can trigger anxiety. I hope all of this is resonating with you and it's starting to make sense, because I really want to almost give you a mindset shift, but also an understanding of where all of this comes from. So then you can really shift your mindset and start reprogramming your brain to live a better life and to have a more positive outlook. Unprocessed emotions as well. Pushing things down does not make them go away. Please do not do this. Don't push things down. Please communicate, please talk to people, because it just makes things worse. And they then come out as anxiety, irritability, or burnout. Okay, next we have biological factors. You can have a genetic predisposition to anxiety, meaning that it might run in your family. Our brain chemistry, it plays a crucial role. The neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers in our brain, like serotonin, and even physical health can be a factor and play a role in causing anxiety. Things such as chronic pain or thyroid problems. These can create and sometimes worsen anxiety problems. Okay, so now let's talk about what you can do to actively address these root causes that is making you anxious. So you can start feeling a greater sense of calm and control in your life. So the very first step, and I've mentioned this a few minutes ago, very first step is becoming aware of what is going on within you, how you're feeling, what you're thinking about, your thoughts, the words that you are using. If you suddenly start feeling anxious, think to yourself, and I know it can be difficult in the moment, but try and think to yourself, what was I just thinking about? What words was I using? What is going on around me, possibly, that triggered that anxiety? Notice when your anxiety comes up, what thoughts you might be thinking. Another thing is journaling, even just for a few minutes each day. Loads of people say this, but it is really, really helpful. This can be a powerful tool for finding out and identifying the patterns that happen, the habits that you have that might trigger your anxiety. Growing your awareness for these patterns and any habits that you have, it is so powerful. I can't underestimate it. Growing your awareness for your habits is probably one of the most powerful things that you can do today, starting today, right now as you watch this video. Try and feel how you are feeling. Perhaps you're feeling joyful, perhaps you're feeling energetic and good and positive. Maybe you're not feeling good. Just try and rest with those feelings, especially the ones the negative feelings. Try and sit with that. And I know that's difficult, I know it is, but when you sit with those feelings, when you stop running away from them, when you stop letting that survival mechanism take over, where you're in a fight or flight response, when you can stop being in that by resting just calmly and peacefully in the moment, because then you can start choosing the habits, your daily habits. You can stop using the ones that don't serve you anymore, changing your thought patterns, which then rewires your brain. The power of the present moment. This is a practice that can truly stop anxiety in its tracks. Because think about it, anxiety almost always lives in the moments where you're thinking, what if this happens? You're trying to predict the future, which 99% of the time is never going to happen. It's not even true. It's a false thought. It's not reality. Or it's in the moments where you're thinking about what you could have done. in the past, perhaps. But when you bring your attention to the present moment, right now, I can hear bird song. There's a lovely little river going past me. Annoying geese flying over. But when you rest in the beautiful present moment, the world that we live in, it really does change everything. Because what this does is you step away and out of your headspace and into actually the present moment. And the present moment, 99% of the time, is very positive, full of joy, and there is so much to be grateful for. And it takes practice, like any skill, but even short bursts of doing this can raise your ability, and the more you practice this, the better you will get at it. And it will create calmness amidst amidst a storm, because that's what anxiety feels like sometimes. And the more you do this, you'll get better at it. And eventually you will not live in your thoughts, in your head. You'll actually live here on earth, in the present moment. And this ties beautifully with practices such as meditation, mindfulness, which anchor you in the here and now, the present moment. You're essentially training your ability to anchor yourself in the here and now. And I've made videos all about this, about meditation, so I'd recommend having a look if this is something that you're interested in. So next is acceptance of difficult emotions. This is, again, so important. We often have a natural tendency to want to push away negative feelings. They're not nice. We don't want to rest in a negative feeling, like anxiety, sadness, frustration. But resisting these emotions can actually amplify them. You don't want to resist them. You don't want to push them away. Like I said before, this is where depression comes from. Learning to accept that it's okay not to feel great 100% of the time is very powerful, because no one feels okay 100% of the time. We all have ups and downs every day, all day long, throughout our entire lives. It's called being human. And when you're going through something, acknowledge that feeling that, okay, I'm feeling anxious right now, and remind yourself that this will pass. This too shall pass. It's such a good little quote. This time such shall pass. It won't last long. And you're not alone. There are countless millions of people going through the same thing. This acceptance can take away the immediate fight or flight response we often have towards the uncomfortable emotions that we have. It then allows you to regain a sense of control and then take action. So one of my favorite things to do is such a good technique to calm you down. So it's a breathing technique, but it's one that I've not seen anywhere else actually. I learned it from Andrew Huberman. He's a neuroscientist, amazing guy. This breathing technique is actually something that we already do subconsciously. You may not even realize that you're doing it. You do it in your sleep. You're doing it as you're falling asleep. Even dogs do it. Babies do it when they're upset. It's our body's natural way of chilling out, of trying to calm down. So what you do is so simple, yet so powerful. You take a breath in, deep breath in, and at the top, you take 2 more little breaths. So it kind of goes like this. When you show people, it looks a bit over the top, but so you understand how it works, I'll demonstrate. So you go like this. You go. So you take 2 more breaths in at the top to fill your lungs up, and then what this does is it opens up. So it opens up your alveoli. You've got sacs in your lungs. So many, in fact, that if you laid out the alveoli, if you laid them out flat, they would cover a tennis court. That's how many you have. So what this breathing technique does, it opens up your alveoli, and they are responsible for the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. And when you do this, it expels more carbon dioxide, because the buildup of carbon dioxide can result in you feeling anxious. So this is a natural and very powerful technique to really calm you down. I've mentioned it in other videos, and I will keep mentioning it because so many people don't know about it. I didn't know about it until a few months ago. I love it. I think it's so powerful. It's helped so many people already that I've told. So try it out right now as you're watching. Just take a deep breath in, and then 2 more at the top, and then just breathe out your mouth. It's better to breathe out of your mouth after this than your nose, but either one is good. But yeah, I hope that works well for you. You can do it 1, 2, 3 times, do as much as you want. It's a great technique to remember, and you can do it anytime you want. And now you're aware of it, you'll probably notice that you do it naturally anyway. Apparently humans do this every 5 minutes or so. So yeah.